Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of our 100 Days of Java series. My name is Abraham Golo, your dedicated Java instructor throughout this series. Today, we're going to discuss about the anatomy of the first Java program we wrote. And if you ever wondered, how about this? Which program are you talking about? Please click on the top of your screen to have access to day 2 lectures where you have a full understanding of what we're going to do today. Well, on day 2, let me just give a quick recap. We learned about installing Oracle JDK and also IntelliJ IDEA on our computer. We went further to create our first IntelliJ IDEA project and then write our first Java code. So when you were writing your code on day 2, I said, follow me word for word. I'm going to explain later on all what we are writing. Now the day of the explanation is today. So let me give you a full understanding of the code you've written on day 2. So let's get started. The first thing in this code that I want to explain is the code at line 3. So what about it? First, before I even explain the code on line 3, let me take you to the very first day we started this lecture. Something and said, programming is the art of you giving instructions for your computer to follow. But there's a problem because the person giving the instruction is a human, and humans don't understand computers because computers have their own language known as machine language consisting of zeros and ones. Now, to bridge the gap between humans and computer, programming languages were invented. So the programming languages help us to write programs for the computer using words that we do understand, and then it will help us to translate these instructions that we've written to computer language for the computer to understand and execute the instructions, right? And one of these instructions that we can give to the computer is printing something on the screen. Remember, I said programming languages help us to write code, and then it can help us to translate that code we've written to the computer. Now, one of the instructions we can give to the computer is printing something on the screen. There are thousands and millions of instructions you can give to your computer. Even you too, you can invent your own instructions, and we'll see that later on in this series. So, how do we tell the computer to print something on the screen? Printing something on the screen is like greeting. It is a must in every language. Like every language have a way they greet people, even your own native language. The problem here is that it can be spelled, it can be pronounced differently. And that's the same thing among different programming languages, Java, Python, Kotlin, Swift, and a whole lot of other programming languages. Printing something on the screen is a basic foundation. But the way it is written is actually different. For Java, you can tell the computer to print something on the screen using system.out.println. Everything in Java that you're writing should end with semicolon. Now, when we write this code called system.out.println, we're telling Java that we want the computer to print something on the screen. So this is the code or the program to print something on the screen. Now, we need to tell Java what we want it to print on the screen. And so you can come in between these brackets, which is the opening and closing bracket, and then tell Java what you want it to print on the screen. So if I type in my name, Abraham, then the computer would try to print it on the screen. But we have an error. And what does it mean? It means that the computer does not know what Abraham is, right? And that is why we have to wrap this in double quotation. When we wrap it in double quotation, then the computer understands that, okay, even though I don't understand what is actually inside the double quotation, I understand that it makes sense to the programmer and it wants me to print something inside the double quotation on the screen, right? And now you might be asking, but system out and println are both English words. Why are they not in double quotation? The problem is system, out, and println, and any English word you're seeing here that is not in double quotation have been predefined in Java. And those predefined keywords are known as reserved keywords in Java. So that means that they are allowed to be written without double quotation in our program. Now that we've known that, okay, this is the code that is necessary to print something on the screen, and anything we want to print should be in between the opening and closing brackets and also in double quotations. So what is the need for all of these codes? The first one, the second one, the fifth one, and the sixth one. Well, I'm going to explain that also. Now the thing is, Java don't know where you can find this, where it can find these instructions. Take it like you have a robot, and the robot follows instructions that you must keep somewhere. If the instructions are not kept in that place, the robot don't know where to find instructions, and so it cannot function the way it should. So that's the same thing. Java does not know where to find our instructions. We can only put the instructions inside the main method, and that is why these instructions are placed in between the opening and closing braces. So take this opening and closing braces as the gate to where we store our instructions. Take it as a door or a gate where the instructions is being stored. So that is why we are putting our instructions inside between this opening and curly braces. So the instructions we are telling the computer, the first one is we want you to print hello world on the screen. The second instruction is we want you to print Abraham on the screen. But Java doesn't know where to find this command. So supposing we have this command and then we remove this line of code and place our command here, it's going to bring up an error because Java doesn't know where our command is being stored. So in order for us to tell Java that, okay, this is where we want, this is our command, we need to put that command inside a public static void main string args opening, and in between this open and close curly brace, we are going to place our commands that we want to give to Java. And that's it. Now, because this is the entry point, or this is like the door to where our instructions are being stored, it must be written exactly like this: public static void main and the rest. If I should change something, like if I should call main love, it's going to actually be fine, but then we cannot run our program anymore. As you can see, the main at the top of our screen is crossed with a red cross sign. So we cannot actually run this code anymore. Also, the play button at the top and at the first play button and the second play button is no longer there because we changed something. So it must be exact like this. Now, the next thing is we can change this args. It doesn't really matter. And you will see later on in the future why you can name this anything else. But common practice and convention has allowed programmer to write this exactly like this. So if I should change this args to something called argument, it doesn't matter, but the remaining things must be exact. So the only thing I can change in the main method is this args, right? Well, you might be wondering, so if the only important thing that we can, let me change this back to args. So you might be wondering, if the only important thing in our code is the main method and the instructions we want to tell Java, then what is the need of public class main? So this is the reason we have public class main. The way Java is designed, it is designed to be well organized. So Java is a well organized programming language. And the other word for well-organized programming language is known as object-oriented programming language. Not all languages require you to put things inside class, but Java is one of the few languages that requires you to make sure that everything you're writing must be inside a class. So let's have a look at this line of code, the line of code at line 1. What does it mean? First of all, the word public has the same meaning with public in our real life world. Public means anyone can use it, anyone can see it. And the reason we made this class public is because we want Java to be able to find the instructions we've written. Don't worry about if there is something called private or if there's something called secret or the rest in Java. Just know that this has to be public, and public means the class is public. For example, if we say a school is public, we usually say public school. If we say the book is public, we say a public book. The same thing when we say public class, it means this class is public. So anyone at all can be able to access, can be able to use this class. So when we write public class, it means that, okay, we are hosting a main method for Java to be able to find our instruction. And so we're using what? Public class. You can name your class anything. I suppose this main method that so you can name your class anything, but the class must match the name of the file. So when you created your class last time, right, the name of the class must match the name of the class you are putting here. So if I should create another class, like Java class, and I call this fruit, so it means that the class name must match the file name. So anything you call your class is what you should provide here. You can name your class anything, but then you can also, you must note that whatsoever you name your class should be the name of the class inside here. So if I should change this to man, I'm going to have an error because fruit and man are two different things. Java cannot be able to recognize what you're talking about. So we need to change this back to fruit. Notice how the beginning of every class starts with a capital letter or uppercase letters. Tradition among Java programmers to actually name things in capital or uppercase letter for classes only. Right, and that is how it is, and that's how we came about all of this code. So the first line of code means that, okay, Java can't actually run our code because everything needs to be in a class, and that's why we are forced to write the class. Yeah, we are forced to actually write a class because Java cannot actually recognize anything we're writing except that thing is in a class. The second thing we have here is the public static void main method, right? And Java cannot actually find our instruction if there is no main method, and that's why we are forced to write this main method. Now, in between this main method, you can give Java any instructions, any amount of instructions, and it's going to follow it up. So I'm not restricted to actually giving it 2 instructions. I can as well give it multiple instructions. So if I should duplicate this, right, I can, it's a legal code. It won't cause any error. So anything you are doing should be in between the main method. So the opening and closing curly brace of the main method, then we can do anything we want to do. Now we can do anything we want to do in between this, but we are restricted to only printing things on the screen because that is the only instruction that we've learned so far. So your assignment for today is you're going to print your name on the screen, right? So print your name, print your name, your age, and anything. So for example, if I want to print my name, I'm going to use system.out.println and then Abraham. So this looked like a simple assignment, but on the comment section, please, you can submit your assignment. And that's all for today. Thank you for being part of today's lecture. Please like this video, subscribe, and share to others if you find this really helpful. Thank you.